They said this game was a Souls-like, but it isn't. Child of Mayhem. You will believe me by the time I'm done. The game Phantom Blade Zero was announced as a Souls-like, but to sum up, it is Ghost of Tsushima held in China with a Dark Souls approach, ambience approach, you know, a little bit dark, heavy as fuck, not as colorful, you see what I mean? This game was an idea of a game developer named Soulframe. No, it is not the game Soulframe, it is like a code name of the developer. But this idea that this guy had was very limited with that like limited technology, 2D turn-based gameplay, but after many attempts, they got the sponsorship, if you know what I mean, and were able to expand the Phantom world with amazing graphics, technology, bigger and better staff, and of course, Unreal Engine freaking fucking 5 potential. This guy, Soulframe, that I mentioned before, made this game in the Ming Dynasty history period, you know, in the universe called Phantom World, which is a place, according to Soulframe, a dark version of China, inspired by a dark fantasy, steampunk, cyberpunk, and horror. The idea of this game is that once you enter the world, you're defeated, you're okay, you cannot leave anymore, but that doesn't prevent you to fight and defend the people you love and the ones you care, right? And of course, making hard decisions because it is an RPG, right? You know what I mean? That's why in the trailer I noticed a word with heavy tones, you know, dark and red, and I was like, oh my god, these tones are... What up, cat? How are you doing, brother? Feeling good today, huh? Very nice, huh? Can you remove the tail from my mouth? Thank you so much. I love you as well. Okay, thank you. I love you. You can come back if you want. And I was like, those tones are really like Dark Souls-like, right? But the combat is completely different, and I will break that for you to understand that it's not a Souls-like. It is more like a Ghost of Tsushima-like style, but it has its elements, okay? The combat idea of this game was really one of a kind. The devs brought a new concept that is Kung Fu Punk. There's something really curious about this. There's this whole universe, a Chinese universe called Wuxia. I'm sorry, China, I had no idea what the fuck that was. And actually, I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. There it is, Wuxia. This is a fantasy Chinese concept, that the ones that we see in the movie, you know, those Chinese Kung Fu warriors flying, all that majestic, beautiful, colorful clothes, you know, that Chinese action fantasy world that we see in those movies. Wukong is an example of that. All of that beautiful archetype that we see. The people flying, the people running in the water, like a Chinese Jesus, if I can say so. Terrible joke, I'm sorry. You know what the devs are trying to do? They are trying to blend this universe with the dark fantasy and all the elements that I mentioned before. And the reason that I mentioned Ghost of Tsushima is the combat and the camera. If you see a From Software game, you see that the camera is centered. This game is completely different. Adding to that, in Ghost of Tsushima, you have that characteristic of a third-person camera, but with a side-centered point of view. That is very important. And guess what? Phantom Blade Zero has that as well, my friends. We had that unique combat divided in two sections, which the first one was the katana and the tanto, right? I don't know how to pronounce that as well. I'm sorry, Japan. With the 4 postures for different enemies. And of course, the secondary weapons focused on stealth abilities, alluring bells, sparkling bomb, bow and arrow, and all of that, you know, amazing combat. Ghost of Tsushima, it's a brutal game. It's an amazing game. You should play it. It is in my top 3 best games I've ever played in my life. It's an amazing game. And in Phantom Blade Zero, the combat, it's so similar. Basically, you have the main weapon, which is the sword, you know, it's similar to a katana, right? And you have many variations of that sword, and those variations culminate in different combat styles, forms, and postures, you know what I mean? The postures. And you have like a range of 20 secondary weapons, like cannons, lances, axes, hammers, and many other options. You see the similarity with Ghost of Tsushima? You see how it plays out? And one thing very important, you remember that Ghost of Tsushima, you use a lot of the environment, right? Shoot an arrow on a thing, then it burns all the enemies catch on fire, right? The bushes to hide from the enemies. Phantom Blade will also use that environment, you know? The devs made a joke. They say like this, that you can't win a fight with Jackie Chan in the supermarket because he has so many possibilities and so many strategies, because he would use the whole environment against you, you know? Throw things at you, shove shelves on you, packages of rice at you, you know? Maybe throw people at you. I completely disagree. Jackie Chan would beat the shit out of me in any situation. And they also mentioned that there will be looting, okay, in the game, like armor, spells, secondary weapons, items, hidden items around the world. Some items that you can even get by fighting bosses. In Ghost of Tsushima, you have those quests, that's amazing, beautifully written quests with a really unique storytelling that you need to find something and you go there. The Tadayori armor, if you played, you know what I mean. The sword that you catch on fire, all of those quests, you need to go through a narrative, understand everything that is happening, and after that, like looting as well, a lot of loot, and after that, you can get a specific item or specific ability for you to use that is really similar. Overall, if you see any videos and you compared both games, you can see a huge similarity in the style of combat and gameplay, and of course, but you can see a huge difference in the artistic choice, you know, in the art direction choice, which is of course more of a dark ambience, a dark thematic that kind of brings you to that Dark Souls environment. Please, developers, optimization is key in this world, okay? If you want to launch to PlayStation and PC, please don't forget the console. Bring a good optimized experience in console, okay? 60 FPS, you don't need a huge graphic, you know? I mean, if you are being compared to Ghost of Tsushima, the performance of Ghost of Tsushima in the PS5 is impeccable, immaculate. So please give us 60 FPS locked. I have PC as well, but I love playing on console as well, but I have a 3060, so next gen, you'll probably burn my PC, if I'm to be honest. And it's something that I really loved actually was that they are going to release a 30-minute demo release in 2024 that really helped Slice of P to have a perfect launch that really fucked up Lords of the Fallen because they didn't launch a demo. They launched the game with so many defects, fucked up, terrible optimization. So I think that is a beautiful choice, and a demo always helps the launch, always helps the development stages, and brings us a really good experience. And the feedback that we give help the developers a lot in bringing a fluid, beautiful experience. That is my opinion, and I think that this should be done. Every single game should release a demo. That is my opinion. Everybody loved the showcase at PlayStation Showcase. People were really impressed with the trailer, with the gameplay. I wish you the best. I wish that this game brings us all the I got really hyped. I loved it a lot. I loved the style, the character as well, the way that the character is built, and you know, to get into that universe, I'm so hyped for that. So I wish you the best. I wish that you take your time to build a beautiful game. And from the interview that I watched, the developers talking about the game, they are really taking their time to bring a good experience, and that is the way, my friends. Thank you so much, guys. Victoria. See you on the next video.